Good evening and welcome back to 60 Minutes. I'm Alexa Urban and tonight I'll be interviewing Major Geoffrey Gordon McRae, a war veteran from World War I. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, it's great to be here.
So Geoffrey, what was it like going from a young boy in Victoria to being involved in the infantry?
Well, I was born on the 1st of January 1890 in Hawthorne, and I studied at the Church of England Grammar School, but I always wanted to be a soldier. So I joined the permanent forces of the Commonwealth Military Forces in 1912. At age 22, I was officially commissioned as second lieutenant. Then in the following years, I studied infantry and engineering until I was attached to the 58th Infantry Regiment of Permanent Forces as a captain.
And do you feel that those previous years of study, and in fact being a captain, then affected you getting into the war?
Yes, actually, on the 19th of August 1914, I was assigned to the newly formed 7th Infantry Battalion. Then 2 months later, we set sail from Melbourne to Egypt.
Oh, so you went into the war in Egypt before Gallipoli?
Correct, yes. We spent a few months camped at the foot of the pyramids at Mena, where we trained and occasionally partook in the sightseeing trips to Cairo, where I took some illustrations of the sights I saw, and I also kept a diary. I made sure to send letters home to keep in touch with the family.
Now, I've heard that when you were sent to the war, you weren't even fighting.
Yes, I get that one a lot. Actually, I was made commander of D Company, then sent to Gallipoli, where we landed on the 25th of April 1915 as part of the second wave ashore. What happened was I was tasked with remaining on board the Mashabra, where I was assisting in evacuating the wounded back to Alexandria. However, in May, I rejoined the battalion in the trenches of Gallipoli.
So would you say that you in fact had quite an involvement in the war?
Oh yes, most definitely. I was very well known actually. Not only was I second lieutenant in 1912, captain of the 7th Infantry Battalion, commander of D Company, second in command, then temporary commander of the battalion, major, then temporary commander of the 60th Battalion. But I was commended by Brigadier Harold Bridgewood Walker, the commanding officer of the 1st Australian Division, for my work in the trenches during the campaign, noting my zealous and energetic conduct in keeping my men going. Then after my death, Brigadier Harold Edward Elliott wrote a commendation for me, remarking upon my leadership of the 60th Battalion, the improvement of its morale and discipline under my orders, and the courage and devotion to duty to which I conducted myself with. Then in 1916, I was posthumously mentioned in the dispatches of General Douglas Haig for my conspicuous and gallant services and devotion to duty.
Did you have any near-death experiences or sicknesses during the war?
Not really. I did fall sick in Egypt in January 1916 with enteric fever after I arrived there back from Gallipoli, but I was taken to hospital straight away. It took me several months to recover, which was a nice break from the war. I spent most of my time writing letters home, and one to my family, one including a sketch of the city outside my hospital room window.
So after recovering, you went back to the war, correct?
Correct, yes. I returned to duty in May 1916, where I was transferred to the 60th Battalion with the rank of Major. We then left Egypt on the 2nd of July to go to France.
Now, you travelled a bit during the war, and you mentioned before that you often drew the scenes that you saw. Could you elaborate a bit on that?
Yes, most definitely. I travelled a lot, from Australia to Gallipoli to Egypt and France. I felt that my drawings of the surroundings would allow my closest loved ones and family to feel like they're still a part of my life. While I was recovering in hospital in Egypt, it was quite an escape for me, as well as the foot of the pyramids, the landing at Gallipoli, and the devastation of the French countryside.
Yes, now, speaking of France, Geoffrey, that's where you passed away, correct?
Yes, well, once I was Major of the 60th Battalion on June 18th, I was sent to France with my men, where on the 2nd of July 1916, I was then made temporary commander of the battalion. It was then on the 19th of that same very month when I wrote my last letter home to my family, before I led the battalion into the action at Fromelles, where I was killed in action later that day, leading my men into the attack against the enemy trenches. I was 26.
Now, some more personal opinions now, Geoffrey. Do you feel that if you were to survive the war, that you would have led a simple and productive life? Do you often wish that you could just take back time and dodge that final bullet that killed you?
I don't like to think about the what-ifs. That was my time to pass. That's what the world wanted from me. I did my part, if not more. I served my country and I do not regret that one bit. Had I survived, I may have led a very productive life, but nothing more than torturing flashbacks and a constant depression hanging over me. Knowing the pain I'd caused for so many other families, I'd kill tens, if not hundreds of men during my time in the war. Who was I to go home to my family when on the other side of the world a widowed woman and her children mourn for years, if not a lifetime to come?
Ah, fascinating. Now, do you feel that the First World War was good, or that it shouldn't have ever happened?
Well, I believe that without war you'd be living in mere misery. There would be no love or peace. It would be a corrupted way of life. War is not exactly a good thing, but more of a necessity. Without war, you'll be currently under the control of Hitler or another power-hungry beast. If World War I hadn't occurred, there would be no computers or even internet. Without America's involvement in the war, they would be far more isolated. There would be no black president. Because of the war and how it sort of intertwined America and its fellow countries, it's caused America, such a huge and dominant country on earth, to be a lot more accepting of women, blacks, Jews and other minorities. As well as your current medical status, blood transfusions, sanitary napkins and antibiotics all came out of the medical needs of World War I. Without the First World War, the world would be behind a few decades, and although great men and women were killed in the war, it was like most wars, necessary.
Yes, well, thank you very much for your time, Jeffrey. We'll be back next week with the man who fell off his bicycle.